Welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and I gotta say, I was away for a bit. I have to apologize for that. I was so damn sick. If you haven't got your flu shot, make sure you get your flu shot because it is a nasty, nasty flu. I spent 2 weeks in bed. Unfortunately, I didn't lose a lot of weight, but I my throat was so bad I couldn't swallow. It felt like I was swallowing razor blades. It was nasty. It was horrible. I had no strength. It was bad. Please, please take care of yourself. Get your flu shot. If somebody's sick, stay away from them because I learned the hard way. It is a bad one this year. And it wasn't COVID. I actually was tested for COVID. I had to go into the doctors. I was so sick, I had to actually visit the hospital, and they did a bunch of tests, and it was negative. It was negative for strep too as well. I thought it was strep because I had the kind of the stuff in the back of your throat, and it was bad. So, thanks so much for sticking with me and coming by after this little bit of lengthy medical absence. And what we're going to have a look today is we're going to have a look at something here. This bugger here is the GiantMouse Ace Grand, and I gotta say, I love this knife. It is excellent, and as you can see, any of you eagle-eyed viewers out there, it is not your normal GiantMouse Ace Grand. I did a little bit of customizing to the micarta scales. I was kind of hoping it was gonna turn out more blue. I ended up doing a blue dye, and it kind of turned out purple, which seems to be in line with everything I dye turns into purple. So let's go have a look at the tabletop and we'll figure out why exactly this knife is bananas good. All right, so let's go down here to the tabletop. Now, you'll notice here that I have got, of course, my Big Canucker symbols here with the everyday carry for everyday people. If anybody ever wonders why this is kind of a lucky silver dollar. This here was given to me by my father, who got this when I was born 52 years ago, just to give you a little bit of idea. And he had it stolen from him. He got it from the hospital because I was born July of 1970, and he ended up getting back 50 years later, and he found it and he got it for me, and it's been with me ever since. It reminds me of my dad. It's just my little lucky piece, and that's a little story behind that. This one here, I ended up getting a knife from a fella. It's actually a wee 712D, and in the box it had a bunch of paper and stuff like that, and I didn't see right away that he actually sent me a patch, and he sent me a little tiny bottle of Canadian Club to go with it. You know who you are. Thank you so much, sir. This patch here happens to be those who say are served with the Peshmerga. I do believe he said it was, I think if you were a Finnish soldier and you served with the Peshmerga out in Afghanistan, then you got yourself this patch. And so I just thought, hey, that is awesome. I guess the Peshmerga are freedom fighters who are allied with the Western countries, and I guess they are fierce, fierce fighters. And I just thought I'd want to put that out there, especially for you guys out there who serve in the military. Thank you so much for your service. Just wanted to say that. I appreciate it so much. And thank you so much for the patch, and the wee little bottle of whiskey. That actually was gone right away. I didn't want to put that out there because it's an empty bottle. All right, so let's have a look at this here. So let's just do a kind of a size comparison. And one of the biggest comparisons happens to be probably this here, the Sharpen. Now this Sharpen here is dressed up with some micarta scales, which is, it normally comes with a G10. This here, GiantMouse has a couple of micarta scales, and I thought, hey, those are the two that will prepare them against. So you can see that it's a little titch smaller than the good old Sharpen. And then we've got another one here which seems to be really, really right along the lines. It happens to be the Spyderco Manix 2. This one happens to be dressed up with some titanium scales, but you can see the size between the three of them. It just seems to be, you can see here that the blade-wise, just a very smidge smaller than the Manix 3, as well as the same thing here too with the Sharpen. Now the Sharpen, I'm surprised that this Sharpen blade is, because I kind of think about right from here to the very tip, and if you line them up, they're ever so slightly different. And even though this one here is supposed to be 3.5, this one here is 3.3. And so that gives you a good idea of the size of these knives. Now let's have a look at some other things here. Now I ended up, what I did to this knife here is I dyed these scales. I also laid this back with a 15-degree edge, a nice kind of thick bevel, mirror polished, so it is razor sharp, lightsaber sharp. And I also, of course, I had to add my lanyard in it. Now this lanyard here is an excellent lanyard when you're going to pull it out, but when I'm actually using the knife, it seems to be in the way a little bit. All right, so let's go over some of the technical aspects of this, and then we'll go over the kind of the hits and misses and everything in between. All right, so the length here is, the overall length is 7.875 inches or 200 millimeters. The blade length is 3.31 inches or 81.14 millimeters. Now the blade thickness is 4 millimeters, and that's important because I think this is a real good working man's knife, and I think you gotta have a nice thick blade to do it. Now, having a thick blade is not the end all and be all, but it adds a little bit of strength to it. Now the blade here happens to be the Unterholm Elmax Super Clean Steel, and this is my first instance of using an Elmax knife. I have not had Elmax before, and so far the one thing I have to say, it was very easy to sharpen. I used actually my KME system, but I used the Gritomatic impregnated diamond stones, and it seemed to cut through this Elmax really nice, and it did leave a really nice kind of finish, as you can see that there too. Now the blade itself is kind of a stone wash finish. When you see it up close, it does have a really nice kind of shine to it, and you can see the stone wash in it too as well. And one of the things I might end up doing is, I might end up with this kind of purple, this dark blue, I might end up acid etching this too as well, just to give that color a little bit darker. I think it'd really kind of set this knife off. Now, overall, let's just see. The handle length here is 4.5 inches, and I've got double XL hands, and you can see that it does fit within my double XL hands. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. Now, the overall weight here is 4.75 ounces. Now, a lot of that, I think, probably comes from the fact that you've got a nice 4mm thick blade, but you've also got a thick titanium backspacer in there, and I really like that. I think it really adds to the balance of the knife, this backspacer. Now, when knives, I think, are too light, I mean, yes, you know, they're easy to carry if you're a backpacker and you're carrying stuff 20 miles, but I like to have knives that have not a crazy amount of heft, but enough knife that it, sometimes a little bit of a heft on a knife leads you to believe that it's quality. And this one here, I think, is excellent quality. I have to say that GiantMouse has done a wonderful job with the fit and finish of this knife. And just overall, I'm really impressed with this. Now, let's just have a look here. Now, the GiantMouse, if you're not familiar with GiantMouse, it looks like it was designed by three guys, kind of sat down one day. You've got Jen Zanso, Jasper Voxnies, and another American entrepreneur, Jim Worth. They sat down and figured, well, we're going to make ourselves a kick-ass knife and a kick-ass knife company. And, you know, GiantMouse was born out of that. And I have to say that I have seen some GiantMouse knives, and I gotta say, I've been impressed with every single one of them. They do a wonderful job with the designs of these knives. Now, you can see back inside here, you've got yourself a liner lock, and it is a really decent, kind of a 30% lockup. Now, there have been some complaints with this knife that this edge here is not cut back enough to access this liner lock without kind of, this liner kind of interfering with it. I have found that it's not that bad. Now I have, let's just see here. I have this Spyderco right here, Gail Bradley. And this one I felt was really horrible. I ended up taking my Dremel and kind of grinding back a little bit. You can't really tell, but it was enough that it gave it just that little bit of extra, so it was easy to kind of unlock and close. But I've not really had an issue with this one here. This one seems to be, even though it's hidden quite well in there, it's still really quite easy here. Let me get that out of there. And the other thing is, I close my knives a lot of times with my index finger here rather than using my thumb. And So I haven't found the need to kind of really grind that back. I know there's some other reviewers have done that, but I think I'm going to leave it alone because I like the way the knife feels in my hand really, really well. Now, the other thing I really, really like about this knife is I love this design here where this top part of this blade is rounded and crowned. It gives it such an excellent feel. Like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of knives out there that have got, like the jimping and the straight back and stuff. And yeah, but this one just, I don't know. When a knife has all the edges, kind of the hard, sharp edges, kind of rounded, you know that they've gone to that little bit of extra effort to make it that much more comfortable. And it is extremely comfortable knife. Now, the jimping here, rather than being at the base of the knife, is about almost a third away, a little over a third, 40% down the edge of the knife. And that is really good if you really want to get in there and do some real kind of intricate work. Especially with this rounded spine, that little bit of jimping, and it's comfortable jimping too. It's not jimping that's going to tear the heck out of your fingers. It's enough that you can get in there and you can do that little bit of extra work. I have enjoyed using this knife. It has been in my pocket, despite I was being sick, but anytime I was out and about, I put this in my pocket. I took some trips with it. It carries really extremely well. And it's just a fantastic knife. Now, some of the other things about this is you've got some ball bearings inside there, which is kind of, ball bearings are kind of the way that a lot of people seem to be going. And when you've got, flipper knives, the ball bearing sure, makes that rocket out. A lot of people don't realize that even these knives that are not flippers, the ball bearings really, really makes your knife experience that much better. I mean, when you've got a knife that'll kind of just drop shut like that and rock it out, it is so beautiful with these ball bearings. And not saying that the old phosphor bronze washers aren't any good, because they are for sure, but you can certainly tell that these are ball bearings, and I have had zero issue with working with this, getting dirt down in there. They've not got crunchy or anything like that. And I did do a lot of work with this as far as cutting up cardboard and stuff like that. It has not been a pocket queen by any stretch of the imagination. I've kind of scuffed it up here a little bit here, a couple of ways, because I have been working with it, and I am absolutely blown away. If you are looking for a good solid work knife that you want to keep under 3.5 inches, I don't think you can go wrong with this this GiantMouse Ace Grand whatsoever. Some of the other things here, let's kind of go over a little bit too. That I kind of wanted to talk about was this here clip, this pocket clip. Excellent, excellent pocket clip. Now, I know that there can be some wire clips out there that are a little bit flimsy, and one of them happens to be, unfortunately, on our our giveaway knife here, our CKC knife here that we've got. The sleeper. This is going to be our giveaway knife when we hit 2,000 subscribers. We're going to give this CKC away, and it's an excellent knife in its own right. But the one big knock I had on this was the fact that this clip was a little bit of a would move a little bit. Now, there could be a couple of things. Of course, the diameter of this clip here is smaller than this one, but it's also, you can see the length too as well. And perhaps what they might want to have done is actually brought that back a little bit, and I think that would have strengthened that up just that little bit more, okay? And one of the things here with this one here is there is very little movement this way. Now, as a matter of fact, one of the things I did have to do with this knife is I didn't like the way that it was kind of off the scale a little bit. And it didn't give me a really safe fit inside my jeans. So when I'd slide it in my jeans, it would just go in effortlessly, but it would also come out effortlessly. And I thought if I did a little bit of horseplay or just kind of messing around, and if I fell down, that this would come out of my pockets. I didn't give me a very safe feeling. So one of the things I heard is if you take your clip here, you turn it upside down so it's off this way, right? And then you screw that in, and then you could bend it in. Well, I didn't have this screwed in very tight, and this is so tough that as I started to push it, my carter started to crumble. I stopped right away. I took it apart, locked it back in there, put some, and then I ended up grabbing a set of pliers and pinching it together that way when it was off the knife. And I have to say, it was really tough to bend this. So whoever designed this steel and tempered it, they did an excellent job. It is very, very tough. And I would not worry about this bending too much. I was actually pretty afraid to really lock it down with my pliers for fear that I would kind of go too much and it kept on slipping out because it was very, very strong. I'm really, really impressed with this type of material is. All right. Now, I suppose another thing here that you're going to really notice is you're going to notice the fact that it's got kind of a teardrop shape opening. And it's really, really comfortable on the thumb. Now, I really like the Spyderco Spidey hole. I love, flicking. I love flicking with my thumb. I think it's excellent, excellent. And they really hit a home run with this type of design here. When you're going to do your Spidey flick, your your finger fits in there extremely well. Sorry, I'm getting a call here. I'm going to just mute that. Apologize, guys. Oh, it's the people to tell me that I need to give blood. Please, please, if you're out there and you're able to give blood, make sure that you do it. That's just a reminder for me to go in. I give plasma at least once a week. I was sick for a bit, so now they're phoning me to say, hey, come back in. You're muchly important. So it is important. Make sure that you're out there giving blood, giving plasma. You'll help, the life you save may be your own. So, all right, let's get back onto this. So this, if you're going to give the Spidey flick, it's just perfect. The way your finger fits in there, it is awesome. And your thumb can fit in there so nice too as well. Oh, and it just rockets out. I'm so impressed with the design of this knife. And I'm just designed to, it's every little fit and finish about it just seems so excellent. One of the other things here too, the billboarding is not too, ginormous here. You've got a little ace with a tiny little mouse for GiantMouse. And then on this side, there's nothing there. There's nothing on the back. They don't even say that it's got the LMAX. So there's no real crazy billboarding out there whatsoever. Really, really impressed with this. I absolutely think that this is a company that I would like to get a whole lot more knives from. GiantMouse. And they're not crazy super expensive either. This knife here on their website is $195 US. In Canada here, I think you're looking at probably high twos. I just think it's absolutely a wonderful, wonderful knife made by a great company, by a couple of designers who know what they're talking about. And I would give this, I think they absolutely hit a home run with this. What am I going to do here? I'm going to probably give this a 9 out of 10. The reason I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, I think it loses a little mark for the way that this is designed. I love this big beefy backspacer. And I love the fact that they absolutely have a lanyard hole because I love lanyard holes. I just wish it had been placed back just a little bit more rather than up there because it just sometimes it just bothers me just a little bit there. It kind of seems to get in the way. That's why I keep it a little bit longer so it just feels a little bit weird, a little bit off. But there. The other thing here, I might have somebody lose a little bit of points or a knife lose. It's just the fact that this could be a little bit more open. Now, it's not just a little bit more open. It also seems like, I forgot to mention that it's a little front forward. A lot of times when you're dealing with lanyard locks, they seem to be down here. This one seems to be up. And it just seems like it's just a little bit odd. It takes a second to get used to, but it's nothing that I think is a deal breaker or disqualifying, especially after this knife has been broken in. Man, I just think that you're dealing with an excellent, excellent company who made an excellent, excellent knife. She's definitely getting a 9 out of 10 for me, and I would recommend this knife highly. Well, thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and thanks so much for putting up with my little bit of absence being so sick. I appreciate it so much. Please, please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.